Now, I'd like you to talk about something together for about 3 minutes. The task will have two parts. In the first part, you will discuss something with each other for about 2 minutes. Then, in the second part, you will have another minute to make a decision together. All right, let's begin with the discussion task. Climate change has caused instability in temperature and weather patterns across the globe. Here are some causes of climate change. First, you have some time to look at the task. Clockwise, let's take turns. I'll do vehicle emissions, open burning, and excessive raising of livestock. And I'll do factory emissions, deforestation, and excessive development. Now, talk to each other about the causes of climate change. There are many causes of climate change. Firstly, vehicles such as cars, buses, and lorries, which use petrol and diesel to transport people and goods, emit copious amounts of carbon dioxide into the air. This gas forms a wall in our atmosphere, trapping the heat from the sun, which in turn raises global temperatures. Do you agree, Surya? 100% Nila. Speaking of transport, businesses rely on them for their supply chains, from transporting raw materials to the factories to shipping out completed products. Moreover, manufacturing uses up fossil fuels which produce greenhouse gases to operate machines, heat kilns, and refrigerators. There are even chemical processes in, say, making cement, steel, and aluminium which produce CO2. What do you think, Nila? Yes, we need to see the writing on the wall. Climate change is definitely caused by human activities. On a personal level, I see cases of open burning in my neighborhood all the time, and I wonder if they are aware that they are polluting the air. Furthermore, every year, we Malaysians have to deal with the health hazard of haze. This is caused by the open burning of paddy fields, as farmers want to quickly and cheaply get rid of crop residue for the new season. You know what I'm talking about, Surya? Of course, the call is coming from inside the house. Human greed is the problem. Throughout history, our lush green forests have offset the consequences of climate change by absorbing carbon dioxide and turning it into oxygen through photosynthesis. However, with the rise of deforestation for logging and land, we're losing our planet's safety net, and animals are losing their homes. People are dying from heat stroke. We live in dystopian times. Indeed, verdant forests with ancient and ginormous trees are also chopped off to make farmland for cows and goats to graze and to grow food for them like corn and soybean. On the other hand, the digestive processes of these animals release methane, which is an awfully toxic greenhouse gas. Ultimately, excessive livestock is connected to excessive meat consumption. So again, people are to blame. Going back to deforestation, clearing land to build new towns and cities can be detrimental if done in an excessive way. We've already discussed how bad vehicle and factory emissions are. To build new buildings and roads, we need to transport materials, which are themselves made through processes that release greenhouse gases. Moreover, all these skyscrapers will lead to the urban heat island effect because of the lack of plants around and the fact that asphalt and concrete absorb and trap heat. Then, when you're in your hot apartment, you end up turning on the air conditioning, which also releases greenhouse gases. Yes, it's a vicious cycle indeed. In conclusion, the causes of climate change need to be taken seriously so we can find solutions to save the planet. Shall we end our discussion here? Yes, thank you. Thank you. Now you have about a minute to decide together which is the main cause of climate change. Vehicle emissions stand out to me because it's the most personal, like in an individual's locus of control. We all ride cars to get to our destinations, but we could forego some convenience to save the planet by carpooling and taking public transport. We all know how bad fossil fuels are when it comes to greenhouse gases, and yet we're still very much a car-centric nation. I choose this as the main cause, more so because we can take action on it today to make a difference. Do you agree? Well, I see your point of view in terms of how individual action is key for change. However, I also believe in collective action and how big corporations should be held accountable for the big decisions they make because it impacts the environment in big ways. I'll agree with you on the point of vehicle emissions, but my reasoning is more that our whole economy runs on transport, so it's the sheer scale of the operation. There are around 20 million vehicles on Malaysian roads every day, so imagine the numbers for the whole planet. Companies must do their part in figuring out the logistics of their supply chains to be more fuel efficient, even going electric. Additionally, the government needs to do their part in making sure our infrastructure for public transport is more effective. For example, more buses must be assigned to peak hours and more pedestrian overpasses built across busy streets. What do you say? Yes, your reasoning makes sense to me. So we're both choosing vehicle emissions as the main cause of climate change. Yes, we are. Thank you. Can I have the booklet, please? You've been talking about the causes of climate change. Now let's hear your opinion on this. What are the negative effects of climate change? There are many detrimental consequences of climate change. People will experience health problems. For example, heat stroke, skin cancer, and respiratory diseases. Our bodies are not made to handle extreme heat and poor air quality. What are other negative effects of climate change, Surya? This extreme heat will cause the polar ice caps to melt. This will in turn cause rising sea levels, which will erode land connected to beaches and rivers. This will in turn cause storms, floods, and even tsunamis, which will endanger the lives of many. It's all interconnected, a chain reaction, a domino effect. That sounds scary. Losing loved ones, your home, all your valuables. The emotional and financial loss will be irreparable. On the other hand, the loss of biodiversity with the deaths of animals and plants, many already endangered, will be equally heartbreaking. That is traumatizing. We really need to think about future generations and the earth they will inherit. They should be our guiding light to face these issues of climate change head on to mitigate its negative effects. Shall we bring this discussion to a close? Yes, thank you. Thank you, Nila and Surya. That's the end of the speaking test.